All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning, I am Lalima Aneja Dang and with me is Subhadra Ramachandran. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls upon youth to never look for any shortcut to success, says long-term planning and continued commitment is only mantra for success. Automobile companies to start making flex fuel vehicles within 6 months, says Union Minister Nitin Gadkari. Centre asks National Board of Examinations to reduce cut-off by 15 percentile across all categories for NEET PG 2021 to fill up vacant postgraduate medical seats in the country. Punjab government withdraws security cover of 122 former ministers and MLAs. Congress Working Committee meets today following party's poll debacle in 5 states. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky proposes to hold talks with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin in Israel. Indian shuttler Lakshya Sen storms into the final of German Open badminton, beating world number 1 Victor Axelsen of Denmark. And Indian boxers Vanshaj and Aman Singh Bisht enter final of ASBC Asian Youth and Junior Boxing Championships in Amman, Jordan. As we start the bulletin, we appeal to our listeners to stay safe from COVID-19 by following these 4 simple steps. Get fully vaccinated, wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi told the youngsters of the country not to look for any shortcut to success and that there is only one mantra for success: long-term planning and continuous commitment. He said, neither a victory can ever be their last stop, nor a defeat. The Prime Minister was speaking after inaugurating the 11th edition of Khel Mahakumbh, which is Gujarat's biggest annual sports event at the Sardar Patel Stadium at Ahmedabad last evening. On the occasion, the Prime Minister also digitally unveiled Gujarat Sports Policy 2022-27. The new policy is aimed to make Gujarat the sports hub of the nation. Speaking on this occasion, Mr. Modi said that the seed of Khel Mahakumbh sown by him in 2010 has grown into a huge tree and the number of participants has increased from 13 lakh in 2010 to 55 lakh in 2022.
11वें खेल महाकुंभ के लिए ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं देता हूं। कोरोना के कारण 2 साल तक खेल महाकुंभ पर ब्रेक लगा रहा, लेकिन भूपेंद्र भाई ने जिस भव्यता के साथ इस आयोजन को शुरू किया है, उसने युवा खिलाड़ियों को नए जोश से भर दिया है। मुझे याद है 12 साल पहले गुजरात के मुख्यमंत्री के नाते खेल महाकुंभ की शुरुआत की थी और आज मैं कह सकता हूं, जिस सपने का बीज मैंने बोया था, आज वटवृक्ष बनता दिखाई दे रहा है.
The Prime Minister said, from Startup India to Stand Up India, from Make in India to Atmanirbhar India and Vocal for Local, the youth of India have taken the responsibility of every campaign of New India. He said he felt proud of the youth of the country who have proven India's potential in every field. Mr. Modi said that this is only a beginning and the country will be strong contenders along with the top nations in future.
खेल महाकुंभ के खिलाड़ियों को सहयोग देने की जिम्मेदारी भी सरकार उठा रही है और ये जो लगातार अविराम प्रयास किए गए, खिलाड़ियों ने जो साधना की, और जब खिलाड़ी प्रगति करता है तो उसके पीछे एक लंबी तपस्या होती है. जो संकल्प गुजरात के लोगों ने मिलकर लिया था, वो आज दुनिया में अपना परचम लहरा रहा है.
The Prime Minister also dedicated to the nation a new building complex of the Rashtriya Raksha University at Gandhinagar in Gujarat by unveiling a plaque. He also participated in the first convocation ceremony of the university as the chief guest. The Prime Minister reached Gujarat on Friday. Delivering his convocation address, the Prime Minister expressed hope that the university will play a great role in the field of national security and defence that will change the security scenario of the nation. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari has said that automobile companies will start manufacturing flex-fuel vehicles within 6 months. Addressing a global business summit, he said most vehicles in India will soon run on 100% ethanol. Flex fuel or flexible fuel is an alternative fuel with a combination of gasoline and methanol or ethanol. Government is enabling the use of various alternate fuels in an effort to shift from fossil fuels. Automobile and auto components of flex fuel engines have been included in the Production Linked Incentive PLI scheme. Niti Aayog has formulated the roadmap for ethanol blending for the period 2020 to 2025 to accelerate the introduction of flex fuel vehicles. Mr. Gadkari also said that the government is working to encourage the use of green hydrogen and other alternative fuels.
The Centre has directed the National Board of Examinations NBE to reduce the cutoff by 15 percentile across all categories for NEET PG 2021 to fill up vacant postgraduate medical seats in the country. In a letter to NBE, Medical Counselling Committee MCC said, after due discussion and deliberations, it has been decided by the Health Ministry to reduce the cutoff by 15 percentile across all categories. NBE has been asked to declare the revised result and send the revised result data of the newly eligible candidates to the Medical Counselling Committee at the earliest. The decision was taken in consultation with the National Medical Commission NMC. There are over 8,000 seats which remain vacant even after 2 rounds of All India and 2 rounds of state quota counselling. The National Eligibility cum Entrance Test postgraduate is conducted for postgraduate medical courses. The Federation of All India Medical Association, FAIMA, has welcomed the government's move, saying the decision would help fill up all the vacant seats. Earlier, the NMC had removed the upper age limit for those appearing in NEET UG 2022 exam. The Congress Working Committee will meet today to discuss the party's poll debacle in 5 states. Congress President Sonia Gandhi will chair the meeting of the party's highest decision-making body. Congress lost Punjab to the Aam Aadmi Party and could not win any of the other 4 states, that is Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Goa and Manipur. The meeting comes in the wake of G23 leaders putting pressure on the party to advance organizational overhaul and internal polls. There is simmering tension within the Congress after the poll debacle, and the G23 leaders are miffed with the style of functioning of the party leadership. On Friday, G23 leaders met at the residence of senior leader Ghulam Nabi Azad to evolve their strategy ahead of the crucial CWC meeting.
The Election Commission has announced by-polls to 1 parliamentary constituency and 4 assembly constituencies in West Bengal, Chhattisgarh, Bihar and Maharashtra. In West Bengal, the by-election will be held for Asansol parliamentary constituency and Baligunj assembly seat. By-polls will also be held for Khairagarh assembly constituency in Chhattisgarh, Bochahan seat in Bihar and Kolhapur North assembly constituency in Maharashtra. The Election Commission has said that the last date of nomination for these seats will be the 24th of March and the last date of withdrawal of candidature will be 28th of March. Polling will be held on the 12th of April and the date of counting of votes is the 16th of April. Political activities are on peak in the 5 states of Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Goa, Manipur and Punjab for the formation of new governments after the announcements of assembly poll results. BJP has retained power in Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Goa and Manipur, while Aam Aadmi Party has swept the Punjab assembly polls. Goa Chief Minister Pramod Sawant has submitted his resignation to Governor P.S. Sridharan from his post, paving the way for formation of the new government in the state. Aam Aadmi Party leader Bhagwant Mann yesterday met Punjab Governor Banwari Lal Purohit to stake a claim for formation of new government in Punjab. The 48-year-old comedian turned politician was elected leader of the AAP legislature party at a meeting held at Mohali near Chandigarh on Friday. In Manipur, former Education Minister and BJP leader S. Rajan Singh was appointed as pro tem speaker by the governor on Friday. The formation of the next government would happen in the coming few days. He will take oath today morning at Raj Bhavan in Imphal.
The government will select 100 startups across the country to empower sustainable economic growth and generate employment opportunities in the water or used water sectors. This was stated by Housing and Urban Affairs Minister Hardeep Singh Puri after launching India Water Pitch Pilot Scale Startup Challenge under the ministry's Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation, Amrit 2.0 in New Delhi yesterday. Mr. Puri also added that his ministry will select startups through this challenge and provide 20 lakh rupees to each startup as funding support as well as mentorship. The Employees Provident Fund Organization EPFO has decided to provide 8.10% rate of interest to its subscribers in the fiscal year 2021-2022. The apex decision body EPFO took the decision yesterday in the 230th meeting of the Central Board of Trustees at Guwahati. Labour and Employment Ministry has said the returns on EPFO's investments are higher even when the yields have been steadily coming down in the past decade. The assured fixed return every year, along with the tax exemptions, makes it an attractive savings option for the subscribers.
Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga under Ministry of Ayush is organizing Yog Mahotsav 2022 today. Ayush Minister Sarbanand Sonowal will inaugurate the event to commemorate 100 days countdown to International Day of Yoga. The inaugural session will also be graced by Union Minister Bhupendra Yadav, Haryana Chief Minister Manohar Lal Khattar, Sikkim Chief Minister of Prem Singh Tamang, among others. The basic objective of this event is to give a wider promotion and publicity to various dimensions of yoga and its utility, and also to promote 100 Days Countdown campaign to International Day of Yoga.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls upon youth to never look for any shortcut to success. Says long-term planning and continued commitment is the only mantra for success. Automobile companies to start making flex fuel vehicles within 6 months, says Union Minister Nitin Gadkari. Centre asks National Board of Examinations to reduce cut-off by 15 percentile across all categories for NEET PG 2021 to fill up vacant postgraduate medical seats in the country. Punjab government withdraws security cover of 122 former ministers and MLAs. Congress Working Committee meets today following party's poll debacle in 5 states. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky proposes to hold talks with Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin in Israel. Indian shuttler Lakshya Sen storms into the final of German Open badminton, beating world number 1 Victor Axelsen of Denmark, and Indian boxers Vanshaj and Aman Singh Bisht enter the final of ASBC Asian Youth and Junior Boxing Championships in Amman, Jordan. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that he is open for talks with the Russian President, Mr. Vladimir Putin, in Israel, but only if there is a ceasefire in place. Mr. Zelensky yesterday said he told Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett that he would be ready to meet Mr. Putin in Jerusalem. The Israeli Prime Minister visited Moscow for a meeting with Mr. Putin and spoke repeatedly with Mr. Zelensky and the leaders of France and Germany as he sought to help mediate an end to the conflict. In a media briefing, Mr. Zelensky said the approach was in contrast to earlier talks at which Moscow only issued ultimatums. India's COVID-19 vaccination coverage has crossed 180 crore and 10 lakh mark. Health Ministry said more than 17 lakh 82,000 vaccine doses were administered yesterday. It said over 2 crore 12 lakh precaution doses have been administered to the identified categories of beneficiaries like healthcare workers, frontline workers and people over 60 years of age.
And now let's listen to a special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
On 13th March 1940, revolutionary freedom fighter Shahid Udham Singh took revenge for the Jallianwala massacre and shot Michael O. Dyer, the Lieutenant Governor of Punjab, at the time of massacre.
Udham Singh was only around 19 years old when the whole nation was shocked by the brutal Jallianwala Bagh massacre. He had helped provide relief work to the victims of the massacre. Although determined to take revenge, Udham Singh waited for the right time.
Pagdi sambhal jatta, pagdi sambhal tera, lut gaya maal.
He joined other Indian revolutionaries and visited many countries, the ultimate destination being London. He used several aliases, including Sher Singh and Ram Muhammad Singh Azad. He went to Africa in 1920 and managed to reach America in 1924.
In America, Udham Singh oversaw revolutionary activities, forming close links with the Ghadar Party and helping set up the Overseas Indians Association. In 1927, he returned to India with more than 24 aides and a cache of arms, but he was arrested shortly afterwards and sent to 5 years jail under the Arms Act. After his release in October 1931, he kept a low profile for a while, but then resumed underground activities, simultaneously looking at ways to reach Britain. The police kept a constant watch on him.
In 1934, however, he managed to reach London. He stayed in a house in East London and joined a socialist organization that worked for the cause of Indian workers. He bought a revolver and ammunition and waited for the right moment. On 13th of March 1940, a meeting of the Central Asian Society and East India Association was to be held at the Caxton Hall.
One of the speakers was Michael O. Dyer. Singh had found the right moment. He hid his revolver in a book and entered the hall. He stood by the wall. When the meeting ended, Udham Singh walked in the direction of the platform and fired. Michael O. Dyer was killed on the spot and 2 other British officials were injured. Singh had no intention of escaping and was immediately arrested. He was soon convicted and sentenced to death. During the trial, Udham Singh roared,
Michael O. Dyer deserved it. He was the real culprit. He wanted to crush the spirit of my people, so I have crushed him. For 21 years, I have been trying to wreak vengeance. I am happy that I have done the job. I'm not scared of death. I'm dying for my country. I have seen my people starving in India under the British rule. I have protested against this. It was my duty. What greater honor could be bestowed on me than death for the sake of my motherland?
Udham Singh was hanged on 31st July 1940 at Pentonville Prison. We salute the great revolutionary freedom fighter. We also remember freedom fighter Burugula Ramakrishna Rao, who was born on 13th March 1899 at Kalvakurthi, now in Telangana. Rao is known for his struggles against the Nizam in the princely state of Hyderabad.
Rao actively participated in the freedom struggle and took part in the Quit India movement. He joined hands with Swami Ramanand Tirth and many other leaders to fight against the Nizam and played a significant role in the merging of Hyderabad with independent India. In the first state assembly elections held in 1952, he got elected from the Shadnagar constituency and served as the first Chief Minister of Hyderabad state.
Rao served as the first governor of Kerala from 1956 to 1960 and as the governor of Uttar Pradesh till 1962. He continued to work for the betterment of people till his death on 14th September 1967. We salute the great nationalist.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
आजादी के आंदोलन के खजाने में ऐसे ढेरों शब्द जिन्होंने बदल दिए इतिहास। तारीख बदलने वाले लफ्जों पर आकाशवाणी समाचार प्रसारित कर रहा है विशेष कार्यक्रम धरोहर हर सोमवार।
As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events are being organized by the government as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. To commemorate the occasion as Jan Utsav, All India Radio brings its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. The quiz is conducted every Monday and Tuesday in Morning News. The next question of Amrit Mahotsav quiz will be shared with listeners on Monday, the 14th of March. The Central Board of Secondary Education, CBSE, has communicated performances of first term of Class 10th board examination to the schools. The board has said only scores in theory have been communicated as internal assessment or practical scores or already available with the schools. In a circular, the board has said the Term 1 examinations were conducted as per schedule. It said in case the students miss their Term 1 exam due to COVID or because of the participation in national and international sporting events or Olympiads, no performance of Term 1 exam is being communicated. It added the final performance of the students will be assessed based on performances in the Term 2 examination.
Indian shuttler Lakshya Sen stormed into the final of German Open after beating world number 1 Victor Axelsen of Denmark in Berlin last night. Sen defeated the top-seeded Danish shuttler 21-13, 12-21, 22-20 in the men's singles semi-final. Now he will face Thailand's Kunlavut Wittidson in the summit clash today. Unseeded Wittidson won his semi-final 21-13, 21-12 against 5th seed Lee Zijia of Malaysia. Indian boxers Vanshaj and Aman Singh Bisht have entered the youth men's finals at the ASBC Asian Youth and Junior Boxing Championships in Amman, Jordan. Last edition's silver medalist Vanshaj knocked out Syria's Ahmed Nabaa in 63.5 kilogram category, while Bisht secured a convincing 4-0 win over Kazakhstan's Tim Ofir-Poshtashov in his semi-final bout in plus 92 kilogram category. Another youth boxer, Anand Yadav, who was initially declared to have won his 54 kilogram semi-final bout against Uzbekistan's Abduvali Buriboyev 3-2, ended his campaign with a bronze medal after his opponent protested and the decision was reversed. Vishwanath Suresh in 48 kilogram, Vanshaj and Aman will be the 3 Indians who will feature in the youth men's finals, while among women, 7 will play finals tomorrow.
In cricket, Sri Lanka will resume their first innings at the overnight score of 86 for 6 against India in Bengaluru Test today. Earlier yesterday, India were all out for 252 on the opening day of the second test. For the hosts, Shreyas Iyer remained top scorer on 92 of 98 deliveries, while wicket-keeper Rishabh Pant contributed 39. For visitors, Lasith Embuldeniya and Praveen Jayavikrama bagged 3 wickets each. Earlier, India won the toss and elected to bat. The day-night test is being played with a pink ball and a full-capacity crowd. In the ICC Women's World Cup, India defeated the West Indies by 155 runs at Seddon Park in Hamilton to register their second win of the tournament yesterday. Chasing a victory target of 318 runs, West Indies were all out at 162 runs in 40.3 overs.
In women's hockey, the Indian team lost 1-2 to Germany in a shootout after both the teams were locked at 1-1 at the end of the regulation time in the first match of the double-leg FIH Pro League at the Kalinga Stadium in Bhubaneswar last evening. The draw after regulation time ensured India to secure 1 point from the match, while the Germans secured 2 points, including a bonus. Despite the loss, India are placed third in the standings with 10 points from 5 games, while the Germans are in 6th place with just 2 points from 3 matches. India Pavilion at Expo 2020 Dubai is currently hosting the Steel Week to showcase the Indian steel sector, boost trade relations with the UAE and build a portfolio of opportunities for India's steel sector. The Steel Week was inaugurated by Union Minister of Steel Ramchandra Prasad Singh. As part of the Steel Week, one-to-one meetings were held with leading players in steel production and logistics industries based in the UAE. The flagship scheme of the government, Production-Linked Incentive PLI for specialty steel, the features and its focus areas were highlighted during the meetings. And now, let's take a look at the weather forecast for today. Srinagar will have mainly clear sky. The temperature will hover between 5 and 21 degrees Celsius. Jammu will have mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature was 13 degrees Celsius, while maximum should be around 27. Leh is likely to have generally cloudy sky. Minimum and maximum temperature will hover between -2 and 8 degrees Celsius. Gilgit will have generally cloudy sky. The temperatures will hover between 3 and 17 degrees Celsius. Muzaffarabad will have partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature was 9 degrees Celsius and maximum should be around 28. The national capital Delhi is likely to have mainly clear sky. The temperature will vary between 15 and 32 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature was 24 degrees Celsius and maximum is expected to be around 37 degrees Celsius. Chennai is likely to have fog or mist in the morning and partly cloudy sky later.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Kyiv is under siege, says Ukraine, as fighting rages, is Hindustan Times headline. Russia says that Western sanctions could cause its International Space Station ISS to crash. EPFO employees, Provident Fund Organization, they decided on an 8.1% interest on deposits for 2021-2022, a downward revision, reports Hindustan Times. The union government plans to open villages along China border for tourists under the Vibrant Village program as announced in Budget 2022-2023, says The Hindu. Over 0.7% population in India suffer from a bacterial infection called trachoma, which can cause blindness, and though it was assumed to have been eliminated, reports a Pioneer. And finally, 3-day Shechu Fair begins at Revalsar in Mandi, Himachal Pradesh, reports the Tribune, as Rajasthan hosts Shekhawati Festival from 20th to 22nd of March.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls upon youth to never look for any shortcut to success, says long-term planning and continued commitment is the only mantra for success. Automobile companies to start making flex-fuel vehicles within 6 months, says Union Minister Nitin Gadkari. Centre asks National Board of Examinations to reduce cut-off by 15 percentile across all categories for NEET PG 2021 to fill up vacant postgraduate medical seats in the country. Punjab government withdraws security cover for 122 former ministers and MLAs. Congress Working Committee meets today following party's poll debacle in 5 states. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky proposes to hold talks with Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin in Israel. Indian shuttler Lakshya Sen storms into the final of German Open badminton, beating world number 1 Victor Axelsen of Denmark, and Indian boxers Vanshaj and Aman Singh Bisht enter final of ASBC Asian Youth and Junior Boxing Championships in Amman, Jordan. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.